popped out of the brush, and I slid under, and there were these purple rain boots, and I was like, oh my gosh. And they were just kind of like, hey.
Were they very casual?
They were, I think I was more excited.
What did you think when you saw them?
Well, then I knew that was either the police officers or the fire department.
And so did you feel safe? Yeah. And when you heard them, were you afraid at first, or did you know you should call out?
I thought it was Dad because their voices were similar to Dad's. So we called out, and hopefully it was Dad.
And how did you feel?
When they found us, I felt so bad. That means I couldn't walk, so they gave me a piggyback ride. And they let us eat food. They let us have some water.
Did they have some warm stuff to wrap you in? Too?
Yeah.
What about that stuff? And what did you do? How did you get them out of there?
We kind of looked around to see if maybe we could get a helicopter in to get us out. Where we were, it was a long hike, and it wasn't a trail, it wasn't a road. So we were in communication with the command post and let them know that the girls were in good spirits and good health, and we would all hike out. And so we hiked back to the quads, and we had more warm clothes at the quads, so got them in the warm clothes, and then we all took a little ride.
At least I found a little tiny purple jacket that at least fitted me.
Oh, that's so nice. And how did you feel after having walked so far?
My legs are sore, but I knew they could save us. So even though my legs are sore, I walked with them.
And how about you, Carolyn?
They had to carry me the whole way back to the quad.
They took turns giving my sister piggyback rides.
And they gave me crackers and corn and metal balls. But they were peanut butter.
And then Misty, I understand that Lieutenant Ridley gave you a call.
Yeah, I've been in contact with Mike all morning, letting him know that through the night, search and rescue volunteers, along with my husband, had found new footprints in a different direction, and that the search should go that direction. And then it wasn't even 2 hours later that he called me, and he told me that he didn't want to get our hopes up, but there was a possibility that my kids were found and alive, but they couldn't confirm it, and that he would call me back, and that we should get ready to go and see them and take them to the hospital if they needed to, or just get ready for whatever. And then I don't even know how long, it seemed like forever, he called me back again. And he told me that he had my kids and that they were okay and they weren't even hurt, and that they had my kids. And I couldn't even talk. I was kind of a wreck. And so a wonderful volunteer put us in her truck and drove us as fast as she could down our really, really dirty, muddy 6-mile dirt road. And a local neighbor, because I didn't even remember a car seat, brought us her car seat from her child. And we were reunited, and we got to take the kids for a quick observation up to the hospital, and they were fine. They didn't require IV fluids. They just required heating blankets and some pizza.
And some juice.
Oh, and some juice. Travis, what did you think when you heard? How did you get?
Well, same. I was actually catching some sleep. I'd been up for about 48 hours at that point, and I had to get some sleep. So she wrestled me awake and told me that the sheriffs wanted to talk to us, and found out at the same time as her. But I would like to address how we found these footprints that led to the rescue. And this is just amazing because there was 2 volunteers from the volunteer fire department, and their organization had recalled the volunteers for the night to get some rest and to power up for the next day, and they refused to leave. They stayed and stuck it out along with my best friend for 20 years, Jesse, and it was Luke and Justin. And together with me, we tried one last time and took a different way that not many people had searched before. And we started finding what we thought were footprints. And I mean, they were very convincing, just the perfect size for their boots. And we followed them right down past where they were found, all the way down to the road out by Highway 101 by the big Footborough shop, which is the road they accessed when they came searching for him and found him the next morning. And because of their efforts and their refusal to give up, we found the trail that led to our little girls. And, you know, the volunteers and the local people, my friends and family, people I've never even met before in my life, local businesses, man, they put in so much effort and time and just made my heart glow with how, you know, good these people were, because there's so many mean people in the world these days, and it just really uplifted my spirits to know how many good people are still out there. And yeah, I was just so happy to have my girls back after 2 nights alone in, you know, 30-degree weather with rain. It really is a miracle.
And which one of you guys were the first ones to make it back? Weren't you in 2 different quads?
You came out first.
Yeah.
Me.
You were first?
Actually, my sister.
No, you were
first.
first.
I was first.
And what did you think when you saw your mom and your dad?
I felt so happy. Felt so happy I started crying like the first time I saw my brother.
And what did you think?
I was so happy that I hugged Daddy and Mommy so tight.
And what did you say when you saw them?
I just asked them where they were.
I said,
Where did you go? What happened? And
I
held my babies.
I missed you guys so much.
Missed you so much.
What did you go?
Cried a lot. Tried not to hurt them, squeezing them too tight.
And how about you, Dominic? How did you feel?
I can't describe it. I have two kids, and I couldn't imagine.
No.
Just happy we found them.
Couple follow-ups. How cold was it?
It was pretty cold.
Tell me how cold you felt.
Well, we felt so cold, our hands turned white as snow.
The first night it got down to 38 degrees, and it rained all night long.
My hands can only shut that wide.
Because our hands are so cold.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Our hands can only close that much because our hands are so cold.
So they were felt frozen?
Yes.
Like you couldn't move them?
And my legs hands were white, but mine were pink and white.
Did they hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you cover yourself with? What did you have on? You had a little hoodie?
My sister had a rain jacket and she brought a sun hat. She used the sun hat pillow, and we used the rain jacket as a blanket.
And were you getting rained on the first night? I mean,
Yes.
You were actually feeling rained on?
Oh, there was this big gap that I didn't see on the branch. I got our faces wet, and the rest of our bodies will dry. So we used the blanket as a head cover, and it covered our head for the night.
Like a little umbrella?
Yeah,
Okay. And how hungry were you? Did you have
we're
anything
pretty
to-
hungry.
Tell me again.
We're pretty hungry.
Were you thinking about cheeseburgers and Hawaiian pizza?
But most of the night, I just dreamed about my family.
And what did you do to drink?
Well, we drank water off the huckleberry leaves.
And how did you think of doing that?
Well, our parents taught us that.
Your mom and dad taught you to drink off the leaves. How much water were you able to get?
Well, a little at a time.
I got it a lot, but Lay didn't actually got a lot.
Yeah, because my sister slurped all the water off the leaves.
I
I couldn't find any water on huckleberry leaves.
What about, were you worried about mountain lions? There's mountain lions around.
Yeah.
Did you ever see or hear anything creepy in the woods at night?
No.
No?
And since I kept watch, I didn't see anything and heard anything.
You sound like you were not very scared in the dark. Are you used to the dark?
Because I was next to my sister.
You weren't scared at all? And were you sure the whole time that Daddy was gonna find you? Tell me about that.
Well, I felt a little nervous and a little afraid, but I knew Dad would find us eventually.
What about you, Caroline? Were you sure Daddy was gonna come?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. What was your most scared part, your scariest part, Caroline?
Being alone.
Leia, what was your most scared part? Caroline.
Sleeping at nighttime. I thought bears would come and find us.
You were afraid of bears.
Thought the bears would come? And so tell me about the second night you went into that bush. How big was that bush? How low did you have to go to get in there?
Well, we crawled. That's how low we had to go.
Was it a bunch of bushes? The
Yes.
huckleberries, the huckleberry
Yes.
field.
What's it like in there? Is it warm or is it still cold?
It was still cold, but the branches kind of insulated, so it was a little warm in there.
And was it dry? Like did the
Yes.
rain not get through?
Well, the rain got on my head, but not on my sister's, and I used it in my head to cover my face like an little umbrella, like who did my sister's jacket.
How hungry were you like the second night by then?
We're just pretty hungry. Our bellies grumbled the whole night.
And Dad, what were your thoughts by what were you going through?
Oh, every emotion you could think of, anywhere from it just being a dream to huddling up in a ball and bawling my eyes out.
That's how I felt
If it wasn't for my friends and the volunteers keeping me from losing it, yeah.
And how
But-
far from home did it end up being? It
Well,
was close, but it was far. Can you
As the
explain how-
as the crow flies, it was about 1.5 miles away. As far as they walked, it was closer to 6 miles away. The country we live in is just ravines and steep hills. I mean, you can see something that's 1/4 mile away. It's going to take you 4 hours to get there. You know, it's very rugged territory, and it's amazing how much distance they covered.
So were they trying to get back? Do you think? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Leia, going into, so after you made the wrong turn and then you came back, how did you feel? Did you feel lost? Did you go like,
Yes.
I'm sure home's closed? Tell me about that.
Well, I wasn't sure which way home was, but it turned out home was way back south.
What's that, Mom?
It's exactly where home was. Home was back south.
And
But you can go ahead, Caroline.
we passed it home.
A couple of times.
You
And we
did?
didn't notice because there was a hill, valleys in front of it.
And was it hard to walk in the rain boots? Were you guys stuck in the
A
rain
little.
and stuff?
No, we didn't got stuck. I tripped over rocks and branches a couple of times, but it was all right.
But we were pretty tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first saw your mom?
We felt so happy.
Did you guys tell each other stories?
Yeah.
Or did you argue? I'd argue with my brother.
I told my sister if she'd gone to sleep, I'll tell her a story. But she just kept on bawling.
What did you say to her when she bawled, when she cried? What did you tell her to feel, make her feel better?
Think about happy thoughts with Mom and Dad.
Caroline, how did you feel when you saw your dad?
So happy.
What did Daddy say to you?
He said, I don't actually remember. He said, I'm so glad that you're back. That's all I remember.
That's great. Did you have to cut through branches with a chainsaw to get to them? Is that true?
We cut a couple of trees that went across the road to get the quads where we ended up. Most of the trees that came across the road, we just went over. We were able to get over them on the quads, and we were trying to spend as little time. We wanted to get where we were going and not take a bunch of time cutting. If we could get around it or get over it, we did that.
But were you already in voice contact with them?
No, we were not.
You were just following a path.
We hiked for about 2 hours off the quads, not on trails, just up the mountain, and we weren't in voice contact. As soon as we heard them, we were right above them. So it didn't take us. Within the first time that we heard them, we were there in 5 minutes, tops.
You didn't have to cut them out or anything.
No. It was really thick huckleberry, and we just pushed through. And they were in sort of an opening spot by the huckleberries, and so we just fought our way through, and then there they were.
I noticed you said you put your hands up because those things are prickly as heck.
It just protect your face, and when adrenaline kind of kicked in, and we were excited to have a good resolution, and so we weren't really worried about ourselves. Kind of cover your face and plunge through and get there as quickly as we could.
And how did you get them out of that prickly mess?
We stayed there while we contacted the command post to make sure that everyone knew that they were found, let them eat and drink, sent out GPS coordinates so that everyone would know where we were. We weren't able to make radio contact, but cell phone coverage was great right there. And so after a little bit of discussion with the command post, we established that the best thing for us to do was just hike back to the quads. Because there were no trails, it would have taken a really long time for anyone to get where we were. And we felt confident that we could hike out. They could hike out. And so we just worked our way back up out of the huckleberries and up to the top of the ridge, and then kind of made our own trail back down to the road where the quads were parked.
My understanding is that you're with Piercy Volunteer Fire Department, so you don't get paid for this, right?
No.
What's your day job?
I work for a custom redwood mill in Piercy.
And when Piercy Volunteer Fire Department, if you're like most of the volunteer fire departments around here, you gotta raise the money to get the engines working, so you're
Absolutely.
So you have to train. How many hours a year do you have to train?
I don't think we have an SOP for exactly. We train every Saturday, and we train with Leggett Fire, and we do a lot of cooperation with other departments so that we can train with the people that we're going to be working with.
Mom, can you take me through your emotional roller coaster? How hopeful and the seesaw of hope and desperation that you went through?
I wasn't hopeful after the first night and it being 38 degrees and raining, pouring rain. I was in a really dark place. And luckily my sister and my really close friends came, and the search and rescue volunteers and a group of close friends of my husband's and I just tried to keep me as positive as possible, because I had very dark images in my head. I constantly heard my kids screaming for help in my head, and knowing that I couldn't help them and there was nothing I could do was very difficult. The first day and night that they were missing, I was told to stay at the house, not to go out searching, and in case they came home and they needed to coordinate anything with the huge posse of people that were helping. And that was the most difficult thing of my life. And so when the search and rescue pulled out to rest for that first night, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I suited up and I went out. And they wouldn't let me go alone, thank God. And they would never let Travis go out alone either. And wherever we wanted to go, people took me. And we climbed ravines and we went over landslides. And I just kept saying that I just wanted my babies back. I wanted my babies back. That my babies were coming back. And that we were going to be okay. And that this doesn't happen. It felt like a nightmare. Like I couldn't wake up.
So you stayed positive, huh? You convinced yourself, and did you encourage each other, you and your husband?
We did. And I knew if I broke down and I gave way to my emotions that I would be useless, that I wouldn't help coordinate, I wouldn't be allowed to search for sure. And so I wouldn't let myself break down the way I wanted to until somebody gave me the bad news to break down for. And so the second day, I searched all day long. I hiked miles and miles and miles in terrain of my own property that I've never been able to reach, because there was a time the huckleberry brush was so thick, I had to pull my rain jacket and my hood over my face, get down on my stomach, and crawl like a snake to get out. And as long as I was moving and I was doing something, I felt like we were moving in the right direction and it was going to be a positive outcome. And after the second night, they finally made me sleep. And I got about 2 hours sleep and I woke up and I had the worst panic attack I've ever had in my life. And I lost it.
How did it feel?
Awful. I don't like feeling that way. I work really, really hard not to feel that way. And I let myself go. I let myself feel that, and about half an hour, I screamed and I threw things and I let myself think all the bad things that I could, and then I pulled myself in. And hysterical people are not helpful. And I suited back up and I went back out and we searched all the next day. And I didn't think I was going to get my kids back by that time. I thought exposure or animals or something. And at that time, we were working off a set of footprints that were about Caroline's size at the bottom of the ravine below my house, on the creek bed. And those were the only size boots that they could find. So I was certain that they were separated and that Leia had been hurt, because Leia doesn't leave her sister for anything. They're always together. And Leia's the leader. Like anything Leia does, Caroline follows. And so I was certain something was wrong with Leia. She'd either been hurt or incapacitated, stuck or something. So I got very dark. And we searched all night long. And finally, Travis and a group of volunteers found the footprints, and I got some hope, and I held on to that with all I could. And I called everybody that I thought could help, and there's so many outpouring of people on Facebook, people I don't know, but my local community. I mean, people, I grew up here. My husband's third generation here, and I have friends, but I have a lot of acquaintances, like people you just see in the grocery store. And they came out and gave food and, brought, we have livestock, and I didn't remember we had animals. And they not only fed my animals, they brought and bought the food for my animals. They were off grid. They brought gas for my generator, and I didn't have to touch a stick of firewood for 2.5 days. They brought in all the firewood. And
you mentioned in the GoFundMe about the road. What happened with that?
We live up a 6-mile dirt road. The whole entire thing is dirt road. We are the last people on the road. There are 21 other parcels. And it is already a 4-wheel drive road. And we try to maintain it. We try to keep the traffic on the road to a minimum, to keep the wear on the road to a minimum. And we open everybody, not just our road, all the close neighbors there, and open their roads and their gates. And, we're fully cooperative. So there were hundreds of vehicles on our road, and it was already raining, and we'd had so much storm. So I didn't think we would make it home from the hospital last night. And my sister in her 4-wheel drive got us there. I might have to buy her some new shocks. And we got off the mountain today. And I think we'll make it home, but I'm not sure. And so it's the muddiest I've ever seen it. It's kind of destroyed, but worth it.
So the outpouring of support of people locally was amazing, right? Everybody came out.
They did things I never even thought of. And even people from all over the country would Facebook me or Instagram me or whatever, get a hold of me any way they could to tell me that they were praying for us and they were thinking of us, and that means so much to me. And the news articles got a lot of really awful comments, and it made me feel really bad. It made me feel like a bad mother and a bad person. And the comments that were coming from strangers into my personal Facebook Messenger were amazing. They were full of support and well wishes and offerings of help and anything. And so I stopped reading news articles and I started reading the comments that were coming directly to me. And that's how
As Travis mentioned, how so many people are mean and then so many people are good at this thing.
Yeah. And I really, really appreciate, I've read every single message that everybody has sent to me. And if I haven't responded right now, I will, I promise, because you guys have kept me going.
How do you feel about the negative people?
I can't comment on that because it's not appropriate.
Any final thoughts on this ordeal?
My girls spend a lot of time at 4-H, and we do an outdoor adventure program. Leia's been in it for 2 years. Caroline's officially been in it for a year, but she tagged along for the first year of Leia too. And the group leader, Justin, has taught them fire making skills and, wilderness survival skills and kind of like how to tell directions and
I think they'd be alive if they hadn't had that.
I don't know. I don't think so. We tried to teach them that things too, but I saw, in the fire making skills that Justin taught them and them trying to make that fire, they learned that there. And, they learned to look for a huckleberry bush. I mean, they knew because we had taught them to stay put, but he taught them how to stay dry. And with the Miranda 4-H, teaching them these things, I am forever appreciative. And with all the volunteer fire departments and the technical search and rescue, and all these groups are privately funded. They get no funding, and they're donation and volunteer only. And I urge people to volunteer to these organizations in your area and to donate to these places in your area to keep these people going, because God forbid anything happens, they're there for you.
Are you going to put GPS trackers on these roads?
They went missing at 2:39, and at 4 p.m. I had bought a package of GPS carabiners off of Amazon Prime that I might attach to a spleen or something.
Is there no necklace?
Microchipping isn't looking so bad right now.
Are they grounded?
No, I'm trying not to punish them really hard. Trying not, because they did the right thing. I mean, they might have wandered off, but they stuck together and they pulled themselves through. They saved each other. So I'm the proudest mom. I raise superheroes.
Great, thank you. Sure, go ahead.
Are you guys going to do anything differently when you go outside, Caroline or Leah?
Yes.
Yes. What will you do differently?
Well, we're not going to leave the house until we get those We're not going to go on a hike until we get those GPS trackers. Or a life kit. Life survival kit.
But are you scared to go back outside, or do you think you'll go back and enjoy it?
I'm going to go back and enjoy it, but I'm not going on a hike.
Thanks.
or we're never going to pass that mark ever again.
Say that again.
We're never going to pass that marker if we go on a hike again.
Good thinking. And bring the dog next time, huh?
We tried.
Is lazy the dog? Or sleepy?
They're lazy.
You guys are great. You're heroes. You're all heroes.
So are you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Because we don't know.
So you guys had come down that road the night before? Yeah, the Shanda called us. And we were on our way to the command post to go check out and get in line. He's just like, yeah.
We had talked to the sheriff about it. You guys did really good with this interview. And you know what? My mom told me.
Yeah, Laura, do you know where Laura? Her mom teaches ballet. We have a wilderness camp for girls. And who gets to come to that camp?
Let pure gold earrings and now I
You're really, you guys were absolutely amazing. And you're my hero. Okay?
You girls were great. I'm so happy you went. Oh, well,
Sure. Abram.
Abram, okay, it's just the two of you?
And then we had one local lady with us.
Okay.
Who was kind of guiding us into where we were going.
Okay, was she with you up to the point where you guys found the kids?
No, she waited with the quads, and I mean we were
So she was with you until you left the quad?
right. And when we left the quads, I mean, we were gone for a couple hours. She